I'm delighted to be able to participate, if briefly and remotely, in your event about the digital transatlantic relationship. This comes at a crucial time, obviously a few weeks before a new US administration takes office, and of course at a time when the world is witnessing the growing balkanization of the internet, fragmentation of the internet, the trend towards the so-called splinternet, which is driven in turn by widespread concerns about the governance of the online world. It's driven also in part by the national economic sovereignty, or the emphasis on national economic sovereignty, which you see in jurisdictions as diverse as the debate around Brexit in Britain or data localization in India, and of course the might of the Chinese-style internet, which is based on a completely different paradigm, walling off the internet, surveilling people within those walls much more heavily than elsewhere. And so it really is incumbent on the new US administration and decision makers in Brussels to try and reach a common understanding on how to move forward. I would argue that three things are particularly important. Firstly, that the EU and the US should, wherever possible, seek to reach out to and find common understanding with India and policymakers in India. Because I think if the US, the EU and India, these three great kind of digital democratic planets, were to align, and particularly were to align in favour of keeping data flows open, that I think would serve as a great antidote to the trend towards the building of barriers and walls in the online world. Secondly, there's clearly an urgent need for a multilateral agreement, because it can only really work in practice multilaterally, a new multilateral agreement on how to tax the digital online world, for which the old tax rules suited for a sort of brick and mortar world are just not well equipped. And thirdly, the more that EU and US decision makers can arrive at some kind of consensus, even on basic principles, on how harmful but nonetheless legal content should be treated, and how companies such as the one I work for, Facebook, should be held to account for the systems that companies like Facebook have in place to deal with harmful content, the more that they can arrive at a common understanding on that without governments and politicians micromanaging the speech that they'd like and dislike online. I think that would be a great step forward for society and indeed for companies like Facebook.